So this morning we are asking, have we been too tough on oil and gas production? To discuss this, I'm joined by Dale Vince, a green campaigner and owner of green energy company Ecotricity, and Malcolm Grimston from the Centre of Energy Policy and Technology at Imperial College. Good morning, welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Lovely to have you here. Malcolm, I'll start with you. I mean, from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we've heard this sort of mood music from him before. We know that he has a vested interest, of course, in producing oil and gas production in the North Sea. Have we, as he puts it, have we been too tough on the sector? What do you think?
Well, there's a dreadful dilemma here. We need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, but it's a kind of prisoner's dilemma in that if all the world reduces carbon, great, but it's in no individual country's interest to do so, because if the rest of the world is reducing carbon, you can freeload on that. If the rest of the world isn't reducing carbon, then one country taking massive steps won't help matters. And so I think there's a strong concern at the moment that increasingly we're going to be dependent on either piped gas from Norway and increasingly liquefied natural gas. Now that involves liquefying the gas, which takes a lot of energy, transporting it in great big tankers around the world, that takes a lot of energy, and then putting it into our system, which takes some energy. And of course, all of that energy produces pollution as well. So I do think the way the world's going at the moment, we probably need to look at this again.
Dale, what do you think of that argument then? The idea that it's all got a little bit messy then, this focus on having to import energy. I mean, about 180 of the UK's remaining 280 active oil and gas fields will be closed, that's what they're saying, by 2030. I mean, will we be ready in time, or is, as Malcolm says, is this going to be at a greater cost to the environment with all the importation of energy?
No, I think we will be ready in time. I think you have to look over the last 50 years or so. The North Sea is in decline, and it's been in decline for the last couple of decades. It probably has 10% of its reserves left, so we can't depend on it. And the amount of time it's got left to operate is estimated anywhere between 5 and 15 years. That's all it's got. And already renewable energy in our country creates twice as many jobs as the oil and gas sector. And this is the industry that we need to turn our attention to. For every £1 we invest in renewable energy, we get twice as many jobs and twice the GDP growth as if we invest in the North Sea, which is declining. It's going to run out one day anyway. I don't think it's an issue about global emissions. I think it's a super practical issue. Drilling in the North Sea can't bring our bills down because we let global markets set the price of the gas we make here.
What about that then, Malcolm? It's going to run out, so we need to turn our attention on green energy.
I mean, it's certainly the case that North Sea reserves are not where they were in the golden decade when we were a net gas exporter around the year 2000. But firstly, it's not the case that renewables reduce costs, and we only have to look at Denmark and Germany. It's 25 years now since Germany introduced its Renewables Act, and its economy is teetering on the brink of a major industrial recession because energy bills are so high. The actual cost of generating the electricity from a wind farm or a solar panel, it has been coming down. But when you take the system cost, the fact that sometimes all of your wind generators are going at the same time, so they're producing electricity which actually has no value, when they're not generating, then you need massive backup. Then all the countries which have gone down the renewables route are finding that they've got some of the highest energy in the world.
Let's be honest, that's what a lot of people are thinking here, Dale. A lot of people are concerned about their energy bills. And Malcolm's saying that actually the situation that we have here is that the green energy, renewable energy, that's not going to bring our bills down.
Yeah, and the fact is quite the opposite. Green energy does bring bills down, or it certainly would in our country if we did one really important thing, which is to break the link between the price of gas and the price of the wind and sun. In our energy market, we allow the globally set price of gas, even when we make it here in the North Sea, we allow that to set the price of the wind and sun. And during the energy crisis at the peak in 2022, the gas price increased tenfold. Even though we made it in our North Sea, we paid 10 times more for our gas than we should have done, and it dragged up the price of all other electricity with it. That's the thing we have to do in order to get our bills down. We can get to 100% green on the grid by 2030, no problem. But unless we break the link, we'll let global markets for fossil fuels set the price of renewable energy in our country.
Could we? Could we? You're shaking your head. No.
This is fancy, I'm afraid. To get to 100% renewables, you would need a massive wind farm, a wind park that could deal with those times quite regularly, actually, when wind is not blowing at all in our country, when it's down to 2 or 3% of the full rated output from those. And we need something to do about the cold winter nights when obviously solar isn't being produced. So either you need a massive battery backup. Now, the environmental consequences of that are utterly horrendous, not so much for this country, it's mainly developing countries where people in their thousands are losing their lives through getting the minerals needed for batteries. Or you need this massive backup, and then you have the problem that a lot of the time when the wind actually is blowing, you have too much electricity on the circuit. So if you look at places like South Australia, which have a lot of wind now, they can't manage the economics of it because the price keeps collapsing, and then your customers have to pay for something, pay the wind generators actually to stop generating, which is madness. Even in this country, we're seeing constraint payments increasing massively.
Dale, what do you make of that then? You know, the fact that there will be this pressure, you know, talking about having to put the energy into batteries and that sort of thing. And the ultimate question is, you know, can green energy power the UK?
Yes. So I would say the National Grid, who operate our national energy system, they make sure the lights stay on every hour of the day. They say we can get to 100% powered by green energy. So I don't think it matters what Malcolm says. He doesn't run the national grid. I say that what he says about renewable energy price collapsing and stuff like that, we can't live in a world where fossil fuels set the price of our energy bills. In the energy crisis, we spent £78 billion subsidising energy bills just to make them slightly more affordable. That's more than our entire defence budget. Energy independence in its true form, powered by renewable energy priced here, is actually a defence issue. We need to spend money on that as much as we have to on tanks and bombs.
Well, ultimately, the situation that we're in, if we do continue the way we are, the North Sea reserves are going to run out in just under 14 years. I mean, what are the alternatives?
They're not going to run out. I mean, they're declining and more invest. This is the whole point about the windfall tax, is it is deterring companies for going and finding the next generation of North Sea oil and gas. And however well we do with nuclear in particular, and I hope we do seriously invest in nuclear as the one that's got all of the positives in there. The problem with renewables, and what happens at those times when for 3 weeks the wind doesn't blow and clearly solar isn't working overnight? What do we do as a country with this? We might be able to import energy from overseas, but if the whole of Europe is sitting under an anticyclone, which has happened on several occasions in the last 10 years, your batteries run, if you have batteries, they're running flat. This is just you do ultimately have to take the laws of physics into account, and the laws of physics simply don't allow what's being said here. We'd have done it ages ago if this was possible.
Dale, what do you make of that? Because both of you, at one point or another, have accused each other of living in a fantasy land. So I'm trying to work out where the reality is here.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt that there's 10% probable proven reserves left in the North Sea. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the industry bodies themselves say so. The rest is an illusion. We don't know if it'll be affordable to get out. But at the same time, we know we have to stop burning fossil fuels in order to stop contributing to the climate crisis. Nuclear energy, size we'll see, it can't come on the grid for 15 years, and it will make the most expensive electricity we've ever known, and it will create nuclear waste that we do not know how to contain. We can contain it for 100 years. It's going to be deadly for something like 8,000 years. So nuclear energy is a ridiculous answer to the problem. I would say that what do we do when there's no wind and no sun? We burn some gas. Right now, we're in a transition, we burn some gas, no problem. The amount of gas we'll need to burn in a 100% renewable powered future will be tiny.
I want to let Malcolm respond to that. A ridiculous notion, nuclear.
No, I mean, the world is turning to nuclear. Even Germany, which was the most anti-nuclear country, is now talking about reopening 6 of its stations because their renewables policy, Energiewende as they call it, has been so disastrous for their economy. And of course, it doesn't tend to be people like us, sort of well-heeled middle classes, who get affected by this. The people who get hurt by the jobs being destroyed and the energy bills going up are those who can least afford it.
Sadly, we have run out of time on this. We could discuss this all day for the rest of the week. But Malcolm and Dale, thank you very much for your time this morning.